All right. Hey, folks. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to show you how to find the perimeter and area of shapes, interesting different shapes that you might come across. So what we're going to do, let's go ahead and start with the perimeter. So in this question, they're asking you to find the perimeter and the area of the following shape. You must show all work to receive credit. So this must be a constructed response, right? And I just made up this shape right now. So we're going to look through it and see what the easiest way is to find everything. So perimeter, remember for perimeter, we're just going to have to add all our sides together. So let's find our perimeter first, see what we can do. Now, one thing we got to remember about this is that if we can count, we should count. All right, so in this one, let's count the sides that we can count. So since they didn't give us any numbers, we can assume that each square is 1 unit. So I'm going to count right here. From here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this line is going to be 5 units long. Here I've got 1, 2. That's going to be 2 units long. I'm going to do this long side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to be 8 units long. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I can find all the ones that are straight lines easily, right? Another way you can do it is actually, if you actually had the coordinates written for these, you could just add the coordinates together. So even if you had a -2, you would add it to this 6 up here. You would add the absolute value of the coordinates in order to find the length of the side. But we just went ahead and counted, which is just fine. So now the only thing that we need to know, so we can actually write those over here. We're going to have 5 plus 2 plus 8 plus 7. So we know a bunch of the sides. We just don't know these diagonal sides. Of course, what do you have to do to find the distance of something that you don't know? You're going to use the distance. Oopsie. You're going to use the distance formula. So first of all, we're going to need to determine what these points are so that we can use the distance formula because we need points for that, right? So this point right here, let's count it. We're going to go -1 and then up 1, 2, 3. So this point is going to be -1, 3. And this point, the other side of this segment that we're trying to find the distance of, we're going to count over 1, 2, 3, and then count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one is going to be 3, 6. So let's find the distance between these 2 points. So we're going to have to find the distance between these 2 points and then between these two. And I did not label the points, so let's go ahead and label them just to make it easier for us to think. So let's do A, B, C, D, E, and F. Okay, so I'm going to, right here, I'm going to need the distance of segment BC. And then I'm also going to have to add the distance of EF or FE, however you want to say it. And the reason why I wanted to label those right now is because I don't want to forget them when I come back up here. I want to make sure I know, you want to make sure you completed your formula so you don't accidentally do something, leave something out. All right, so let's go down here and find the distance. So let's find the distance of these. Remember our distance formula is square root x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And by the time, if you've been practicing these, you probably have this formula memorized like so easily right now. So here's our y's and x's. So our x2 is going to be 3 minus our x1 is -1. So we're going to have 3 minus -1 squared plus, then our y's, we're going to have 6 minus 3, 6 minus 3, and we're going to square that. So let's simplify. 3 minus -1 is the same as 3 plus 1. So that's 4 squared plus 6 minus 3 is -3 squared. So that's going to equal 16 plus 3 times 3 is 9. 16 plus 9 equals 25. And the square root of 25 is actually a number. It's 5. So we know that this length of BC is 5 units long. So we can then change over here, we can substitute length of BC is 5, because we just figured it out. So now let's try to find the length of EF. Or yeah, no, not EF, FA. Ooh, did y'all see that mistake that I made? I said EF, but we already know EF. This should be FA. All right, let's go back up here. At least we found it before we finished, right? I'm sure as y'all are watching this video, you're like, what is she talking about? So let's find the coordinates for A and F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's -6. Then we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, comma 3. That's A. And then F is -2 and -2. Okay, so now we have our coordinates for FA, which is right here. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this distance formula that we just figured out. And we're going to do the next distance formula right here. So on yours, you're going to want to do like another piece, another sheet of paper or whatever. Let's see if I can erase this a little better. So on yours, yeah, you're going to want to either go to another sheet of paper so that I can see all of your work, but just to save us a little space here. And it's weird when we erase with these grid lines, it like creates different grid lines, which is very strange. So we're just going to do it down here. We're just going to write directly on top of it and we will be fine. Okay, so let's go back to writing and our distance. Now we're finding our distance. Let's say we're going to find distance from A to F. So if we're starting with A, then F will be our x2. So our x2 is going to be -2 minus x1 is -6. I'm going to square plus. So y2 is going to be -2 again. Minus y1 is 3. And we're going to square that. And then we're going to add this together. -2 plus 6 is going to give us 4. So that's 4 squared plus -2 plus -3 is -5 squared equals 16 plus 25. And then if you figure that out, you're going to end up with, if I can squeeze it down here. So we have 25, 35, 41, square root of 41. And there's no exact square root of 41, so we'll just leave that as square root of 41. Hopefully I'm not making any mistakes. Y'all can check my work if you want. Okay, so then we're just going to add all these together. So 5 plus 2 is 7. So we're just going to add, you can add these together. So let's see, let's add the easy ones together. This is how I always do it. I always do like 5 plus 5 is 10. 8 plus 2 is 10, so that's 20. 27 plus the square root of 41. So 27 plus the square root of 41 would be your perimeter. And if you wanted to approximate the square root of 41 with a calculator, you could certainly do that and solve it, because we're going to do approximate signs, right? If you're going to approximate, so we know 6 times 6 is 36, and 7 times 7 is 49. So this is like right in between those. So if you do it on a calculator, let me see if I can pull up my calculator real quick for us. I don't want to be another. Sorry, I could have had this pulled up before, but I did not. Apologize for that. Okay, so we have 41, and we want to find the square root of it. So we hit this, so we have 6.4. Okay, so we were right. We were estimating between 6 and 7, right? So we have 27 plus 6.4. So we can just add 27 onto our calculator. You can do all this on your calculator if you want to make sure that it's correct. Can y'all see the top of that? It's 33.4. So the perimeter is approximately 33.4 units. And I'm just saying units because they didn't give us any measurements like centimeters or inches or anything. Okay, so we found our perimeter, right? So now that we found our perimeter, they also want us to find the area. Now here comes the interesting part. I'm just going to kind of like block this off. So to find the area, we have to divide this into shapes that we recognize. There's a couple different ways to do it. One way is to make this bigger, find the area, and then subtract the part that does not belong to the original shape. So, for example, if I draw a line down here from A, and let's pretend like I'm making a straight line here, and then over to F, this section is not going to be included in my final area. But by doing that, I can make a big giant rectangle, find the area of this giant rectangle, and then subtract the area of this shaded in triangle. So that's what I'm going to do for the bottom half because I feel like that's going to be the easiest method. And then for the top half here, I'm also going to divide it into two things. And because I have a right triangle, I'm just going to divide this one like this. I'm going to find the area of this section, then this section. So I'm going to add this plus this. And then on this bottom half, remember, I'm going to find the area of the big rectangle and subtract the area of this right triangle. Right triangles are great because you automatically are going to know what the altitude is. So let's find the area. All right, so this is kind of fun. So let's find the area of this blue section first, and I'm just going to write it over here in blue. So the area of any rectangle or square is you're going to multiply the length times the height, right? So we're going to have 2 times 1, 2, 3. So this little area right here is 3. So the area right here of this section, 2 times 3 equals 6. And that's going to be 6 units squared, right? Because we multiplied. So then let's find the area of this little triangle right here. So again, this side is going to be 3. The base is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's change the color here. Let's make this yellow. So we're going to do this yellow triangle. And we know the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. And I know this is getting kind of messy right there, so I'm going to write it over here. So 1/2 base times height. And we can see here our base is 1, 2, 3, 4 of this yellow triangle. And our height is 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have 1/2, 4 times 3. And you're just multiplying them all together, right? 4 times 3 is 12. So then you have 1/2 times 12. So that's the same as 12 divided by 2, which equals 6. So this triangle right here is 6 units squared. So now we have 2 of our, and I'm going to write them in black inside the thing just so we can see it. So this is going to be 6 and this is going to be 6. We already figured out both of those. So now let's find out the area of this big rectangle, and then we're going to subtract the area of this triangle from it. So the big rectangle, if we count all of these blocks right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this whole side here is 11. And then we're going to multiply that by whatever the side, this short side is, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 times 11 is 55. So this whole thing is 55 units squared. And we're going to have to subtract whatever this right triangle is. So let's figure out what this right triangle is. So the right triangle, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 is the base. So remember, a triangle equals 1/2 base times height. So that equals 1/2. The base is 4 times this height, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We already figured that out, right? So 5 times 4 is 20. And we're going to take 1/2 of that, so that equals 10. So this triangle is 10 units squared. So let's subtract 55 minus 10 is 45 units squared. So now over here, let's figure out what our area is. So We don't want this 10 involved in our situation, right? So we subtracted 55 minus 10 and we got 45. So this part of the shape is 45 units squared plus 6 plus 6. That's what we're going to add together to get our area. 45 plus 6 plus 6. So 45 plus 12 is going to give us 57, and it's going to be 57 units squared. And we just figured out the area of this big crazy shape. I know this is kind of messy right now, so I'll probably do another video with another example later. So we just found the perimeter and we found the area. Actually, we'll probably do this for the area. And so if you're drawing it somewhere, you're going to want to show me. It's okay if your work is messy like this, as long as I can see that you are working out the problem and that you're not just guessing or whatever. So remember, to find the area, you have two options. Either you can divide the shape into shapes that you know how to find the area of, like a right triangle. If you just divide it into a regular triangle, that's fine as long as the altitude is obvious. You want to be able to count the altitude so you can actually figure it out, or a square or a rectangle. Okay, good luck. Start this over again and try it on your own and see if you come up with the same answer.